Hi, this is Paul Sanneman, and I am owner of Contractor Staffing Source, and I have as my guest on Business Success Tips, Nick Costa. Now, Nick Costa is probably one of the smartest guys I know, especially in tech. He founded Soaring Towers. So, Nick, could you tell me a little about yourself and how did you get started in this industry?
Definitely. And first of all, thanks so much for bringing me on, Paul. The construction industry and implementing technology is definitely one of the hardest ones to do. But I think for contractors and all different type of construction companies, technology can really elevate their business, and it can really help them kind of change the way they do projects and do project management. And that's really what drove me into the space. Is I saw all this untapped potential that all these companies really could just revolutionize how they build and how quickly they build, cutting costs by leveraging technology. And I really wanted to be a part of that. So that's kind of where we positioned ourselves as a technology implementer and A to Z IT for a lot of small and medium businesses, primarily in the construction or finance industries, where we really see that there's a lot of tools that can be better optimized for those industries. And now we're focusing a lot on AI implementation. Myself, I've been in the
Right.
AI space for over 5 years. And so that's kind of where we're heading and helping businesses kind of understand this crazy new world of AI. And
So
so
I've
it'll be a
got a
fun ride.
question for you, sir. One is,
Uh-huh.
I'm an old guy, so I was convincing, contractors to use cell phones. It's that and
Yep.
that, right? And they go, a cell phone is like a waste of my time. It disturbs my peace of mind in the truck. And then I went from cell phones to email, and that email was a fad. Went into websites. He said websites are just a passing fad. Now we're into construction software. Now we finally move into AI. And it's like dragging Luddites through things they don't think are important, right? So to
Yep.
click on you, how did you get into IT? I mean, my son spends way too much time on video games. So is that an asset or liability, right?
Well, I would say kids nowadays are getting exposed to technology so young. The IT industry, especially, is just seeing a boom in the recent years by recent grads and people even in college that are getting into the field because they realize, hey, I grew up playing video games. I grew up on the internet. It's really easy to make that switch. Myself, my dad operates a small business, and what I've always been interested with technology and computers, and he was starting to have some computer issues, and that kind of drew me into technology and how I could use this to help him and help other businesses. He's not in the construction space, but really what got me into the construction space is I was talking with some of these construction business owners and just really hearing a lot of their pain points. To me, it just seemed like a no-brainer of how technology could solve that issue. And so went ahead and made that transition. I think kids nowadays definitely can see things that I think the older generation can't. With in regards to technology, as I know kids 10, 11, 12 that are using AI on a daily basis, which is unheard of. I mean, I can't even
I
fathom
got to
that.
ask you a quick. Now, how many hours did you spend on video games when you were a kid? Be honest.
Oh, God, hard to say. I mean, definitely a ton. Definitely 5, 6 hours a day. Definitely growing up with computers and video
It
games
didn't work your brain,
are
right?
second nature.
It did
Oh
not work.
no. Well,
So
I mean,
you
we
were
could go
happy.
down
You were
that rabbit hole.
what game did you play? Were you a CS:GO guy or what?
CSGO, a lot of different games. There was a lot of games that just years ago that I would actually, I became the IT guy for video games.
I
And
see.
that kind of dictated my games where people would be like, hey, we want to play X, Y, or Z game, and ended up setting up a server for my friends to all join in and connect together. And so again, just kind of using video games almost as like a proxy to the IT of seeing how could I use video games for the IT,
So,
and that's kind
good
of
question.
where it
How did
fell.
all your hours on CS:GO help? Are going to help contractors make money? I want you to relate those two things.
Oh, you just give me hard questions over here. All right. I think for CSGO especially, it's a very strategic game. And I think in business especially, if you're not strategic with the money you spend and the business decisions that you make, it can be disastrous. So I think CS:GO is a fast-paced game, and video games at all are fast-paced, allowing me as a business owner to stay on my toes, but also help other business owners kind of see what's coming and make sure they're proactive instead of being reactive to all these industry changes or the new technologies that emerge.
But one thing is different on CS:GO, you get more than one life, right?
That is correct. That is
As a
correct. In
contractor,
business.
I always say you can stay in business as long as you can afford to pay for your mistakes, right? So
Yes.
that's a little different about video games than it is in real life, but one life and you're down, especially in business. So I would say as a contractor, I mean, how is a guy going to use AI to make money? I mean, I work contractors all day long and they go, how is this really going to help me? I've got, what's IT have to do with me being profitable?
Definitely, definitely. And that's a question I hear so frequently. I think the biggest thing that when people look at IT, they kind of sometimes they'll boil it down to a few things. Either it's just a computer, like, hey, I just need to do a Word document. Hey, I just need to just save this file. Or they'll boil it down to, hey, it's just kind of like going on Google and looking for stuff. If you and I equate all businesses, modern businesses nowadays, to tech companies. You need to be a tech company in order to thrive and survive nowadays. Every individual in your company.
Why does a contractor, I'm a contractor, I work a lot of contractors my whole life. So why does a contractor need to know anything about tech? I mean, what help him make any money? I mean, basically I build stuff, right? People call me, I go out, I work on their house, I build houses, that kind of stuff. So one of the things that's interesting now is in the old days, a project manager doesn't need a computer. Now he needs a computer more than a yellow pad, obviously, right? So how is that going to help me make money as a contractor? What's tech going to do for me?
Well, it goes back to, like I was saying, with the tech companies. Tech companies, their whole thing with Facebook, Instagram is data. If you're a construction company, the more data that you have on your business, the better you can be, because it can provide business insights that you previously wouldn't see. So if you have your team religiously putting data into a project management tool, you can take all that data out there and give you insights. Hey, all your projects stall by 20% when you have this subcontractor come in and work on the specific thing after this other guy. So you're seeing all these issues that, hey, if you just replace the order of your jobs, or if you just switch out your subcontractor to a different subcontractor, you could be 5%, 10% more profitable, 20% faster on job completion, which in turn can make it more profitable.
I can understand like project management software, like there's CoConstruct and JobTread and Procore, a bunch of them out there, and why you can manage a project because, it's going to stay in business long to pay for mistakes. If you avoid your mistakes faster, especially with some kind of project management software, and you learn before you lose too much money, where and why you're losing money. So maybe I get project management software. I can understand that, but what other tech stuff do I need? I mean, why bother with all this tech stuff?
Definitely no, and there's so much out there, so it's so hard to say what specific that it's there. But like I was just mentioning with the AI piece, you can now use AI to augment your existing tools, like your project management tool, to fill in those gaps of almost like a trusted advisor that you have in your pocket that can say, hey, this project is going to run 20% long because X, Y, and Z, because this is back ordered and something like that. So it provides analytics on every single step of the project management process. And that's just the project management piece. If we look at another piece with communication or client satisfaction, a lot of companies now are using portals. JobTread has it. Everyone's pushing for a portal for your client to sign into to kind of see the status of a job. What you can do now is you can use that portal, but use that in combination with some of your tools so that your staff can quickly communicate to your clients. And instead of texting them, calling them, emailing them, and having all these places fragmented, you can actually centralize all of your data, all your different communication methods for one project, whether that's a text message, whether that's an email, whether that's a calendar event. So if you're pulling up a client, instead of having you as the business owner trying to be like, okay, I'm working with Jim on this project. I talked with John, our project manager. If I go into our project management software, it's there, but I feel like we talked about other things. Everything is just combined in one place, allowing you to hire staff easier.
The value of that over like spreadsheets and stuff. Now, I'm going to go I'll track for a bit. So it seems to me, I've done some conferences on AI for contractors. It
Right.
seems to be a sort of two schools of thought. Either it's going to end the world or save it, right? I mean, I've seen,
Yep.
Skynet, we're all going to be, bombed
Yep.
because it doesn't need us anymore, the Matrix or something. Other people go, oh my God, we're all going to be hanging out all the time because it's going to do all the work for us. We're all going to, have a
They
guaranteed.
all have nothing to do. Exactly.
Okay, so what's your personal view? Is it the end of humanity or is it going to save humanity?
I definitely think it's going to save humanity if we kind of build the right principles into it. I think that AI as a tool is our most powerful tool that humanity has ever made. It's pretty much the ability to clone yourself. And I think that's very powerful. But if you don't train the AI on human values and kind of what is right and wrong, I don't think it's going to be Skynet per se. But I do think that the AI is just not going to provide stuff that we would deem as like safe or healthy. But I don't think there's going to be Terminators going to come up and end all the world for us. I think we're safe there. I just think that that tool, just like any tool, has to be refined for exactly what you need it for, rather than something like ChatGPT, which might be a fantastic general tool, but you have to tune that tool to be really specific. And I think people may tune it incorrectly.
Here's another problem with contract, Trevor. Getting them to do stuff. I mean, it took me a couple of years to talk them into using cell phones, right?
Uh-huh.
And the problem with AI is it's the rate of it, what it's exponential and exponential. It's crazy, right? I mean, it was introduced like a year ago, commonly less than 9 months ago, and it's now like taking off in billions and billions of spin everywhere. So, how do you get Mr. Contractor, who I could barely get to use a cell phone in the old days, to jump in with both feet and say, "Oh, I love all this technology. How do I use it? Let it change my life." You must have that problem when you work with construction companies. How do you get them to use it?
Definitely. And it's funny you mentioned that because we kind of have two contractors. We have the one that will talk to them and they'll be like, I don't want any technology, just I want pen and paper, but I know I can't do that. So give me the least amount of technology. And then the other end that is, I want AI now. And what really ends up happening is most people need to be in the middle here, where the people who want AI, when we come in and take a look at their business processes aren't in line with the technology that they're using or should be using. So we have to come in as that advisor and say, look, this is everything you guys do on a project basis. You have your project managers go on site, meet with their subs and verify the project and put some of that data in a project management tool, suddenly write on a piece of paper, and they text a client. That can't all happen if you want to go to the AI route.
Well, I mean, the fear that I think prevents me, for example, is when I get a new update for my cell phone or computer, I'm terrified. Because last time I did it, I lost a third of my data. It took me 4 weeks to compensate for it. It was hell on wheels. So I'm always afraid to either update my computer or even update my phone to have any choice. Now you're asking me to take my entire business technology and put it at risk. I can barely get it to work the way it is. How do you deal with that? I'm terrified of any kind of changes because it's going to screw everything up. I tried it a year ago and it took me 6 months to fix it.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. It's hard. What we do is we really plan meticulously every step of the implementation process. So we don't try to make 100 changes at once. We try to make one change and kind of hold all of our clients' hands through that process. For example, we'll take the smallest change. For example, let's say someone's using an email system from the early 2000s, like Earthlink or something that's a super old email system that really isn't made for a modern business. We'll do that email migration and make sure no data is lost, but then also train the staff on how to use the new tools. Because what we see that happens quite frequently is people will switch to a new technology because it's so cutting edge, but then no one knows how to use it. So it's a useless expense that you have sitting on your books because none of your staff knows how to use it. So
well,
the training piece
like
is
the
most
no
important.
time for time management issue, right? In other words, people don't take time management time. So
Yeah.
I'm looking at a contractor. They're already really busy. They're overwhelmed. They don't want to add any more to their budget on this technical stuff. And you're asking them to spend time, which they don't have any of, and money, which they may or may not have some of. How do you convince a contractor, like I'm saying, maybe he needs to go from, Apple to, Microsoft, or maybe he needs to adapt a new, I don't know, CRM system or whatever it is. My experience, having doing this for many years, is contractors resist it, and their resistance is part of why it doesn't work when you start it, because they just fight it.
Yep, they will fight it. Most of the time, we're able to really, because we have like I said, we're very specialized for the construction industry. We're able to show them kind of what we've done for clients and kind of the work there, and show before and after of like, hey, here's how long it took them to do a job before, here's how long it took them to do a job after implementing these specific tools. And that kind of helps grease the wheels to get them there. But you're right, Paul. It's not an easy battle with
so
contractors.
I want you to share with me, Nick, your biggest success implementing technology and your biggest failure implementing technology to a contractor in the last 6 months.
So the biggest success that I would say is we have a contractor. They're a commercial home builder, and they build tract homes. So what we walked into was they were about spending $50,000 over what they needed to a year on their technology. No one had any visibility on this until we came into the fold. So we immediately notified that this was without making any changes, saving them immediately $50,000 from this technology spend. And we're like, look, this is just improperly configured. You don't need to spend this. And we're going to cut this down to probably $1,000 to $2,000 a year, which is a dramatic savings there. But not only that, we're able to streamline and standardize their computer processes, which has caused a few of their key executive team to get barraged by team members saying, hey, my computer's out of space, I don't have the software, X, Y, and Z. We standardize all that. So now everyone has the right software that they need, allowing them to hire and release staff much, much faster, which previously took weeks. Now it takes a day to do the onboard or offboarding process, which makes them a lot more efficient team members. And as they're growing this business fairly aggressively, they've been able to scale very, very successfully now with us in the fold. I'd say our biggest failure in the last 6 months was a client that they had a Microsoft 365 email system, which is we're a Microsoft partner, so we know that system very, very well. We reached out to them and were really pushing 365 as we thought it was the best option for them. And about four weeks into this kind of analysis process, we realized that even though 365 for us and 95% of our clients is a perfect fit for them, we realized for them it was not going to work out. And we had put some time and some effort into this. And so we had to go to the client and said, look, we did another analysis based on how your team works and the workflows and business processes that you guys have. And we really don't think that 365 is going to be the right fit for you, and ended up transitioning them to another platform. And that hurt both parties, hurt us because we had to make that change after a few weeks, and hurt them because we had to then retrain their staff a little bit on another tool. So I said, no, that'd be our biggest
give me
fail.
an example of, you hear about, people hacking systems or people are crashing systems or whatever for contracts.
Yeah.
So give me an example of a, maybe a preventable disaster, or that the contractor went through, and either losing data, getting hacked, something that they didn't expect. Give me a real life example of what this means to a contractor and why I might need some of these security things you implement.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is what so many contractors don't realize is, as you mentioned, Paul, a lot of these contractors and their team members are overworked, and they're just like have no time. And that kind of lets them to go pretty quickly when they're doing things, especially when checking email. So we've run into recently is we've brought on a few new clients that had email compromises because the staff's email got compromised, and they started sending out emails to their clients about, hey, we switched our bank account, send money to this other bank account. And
so let's be specific. If say I wanted to, rip off a contractor, all right? And
get the step-by-step plan.
I'm going to ask AI to do this, right? So I'm sitting in Istanbul or, North Korea or someplace, right?
Right.
And I'm going to do those guys in. Now, you can't be specific, but can I send, what is a phishing email? How do I get them suckered in so they're going to answer my email so I can get into their business and just blow it out?
The best way is, and what we've seen a lot, is they just prey on stuff the contractors are working on of, hey, how can you save money? It's, hey, we can save you some money, or just active projects. A lot of the contractors will post jobs on their website of, hey, well, this is our project we're currently working on, which is great for marketing. But then they just look at their website and go, all right, I'm going to email them about that project that I know you're still working on, which then gets people to click on the link and then kind of and to start
So how
sucking
does
out
that,
money out of
let's
the
say
business.
I get this thing, your Schwab account has been compromised. We close it down. We close down your Amazon account. We close down your PayPal. We get all these. How do you know if it's phishing, like it's real or it's not? Because you're getting pretty good at it. They got the PayPal logo. They got
They
the
are, yeah.
logo. And so they go, oh my God, my Schwab account has been compromised. I even felt, I called them and said, what's going on? And they go, well, it's by now that I have, people like you, I can say, is this phishing or not? Because I can't tell. So how do you tell?
Yeah, so the biggest thing for us is education. You're right, Paul. They're getting better every single day. It's hard to say like, hey, this is how to check. There is kind of checklist that we go through, and this is what we implement for all of our clients is a training regimen to train them on how to spot phishing emails. 70%
So this just
of
for
modern
our
attacks.
listeners, define a phishing email, how it works, and how it can be costly.
Definitely. So a phishing email is an email that comes from call them bad actors, pretty much hackers that are trying to get something from your business, whether that's information to do a hack later. What's most commonly where they're taking credentials, so username and password to try to get into your accounts, or they're just using that to try to get into your systems like Dropbox or Microsoft 365 and then take out your data or encrypt your data. So those are kind of the three things, and these come. Everyone's probably gotten those phishing text messages nowadays, which are so common. But you've also probably seen a phishing email, like Paul was saying, like, "Oh, your Schwab account is getting hacked," and you can see that, like, okay, this may be real. Let's call Schwab and let's see. There's a few things to check on that. First, when you look at a link, if you hover over the link before you click on it, it'll show you the link in an email. When you do that, if it is like www dot not the Schwab URL, so it's like www dot 123 this is legit.com, probably not Schwab, and don't click on that link. A few other things to check is the email from address. So when you click on like your email and it shows you who it's from, make sure that it's from like at schwab.com or the actual Schwab domain. Because if it, and you got to check the spelling, because what these hackers are doing is buying like SCH, BI, and they'll just add just little letters like I's and stuff like that into the domain, and then start sending emails like that because it looks so legitimate.
So, Nick, give me the life. I'm in or someplace. I'm a hacker. How do I make money? How does it actually work? How do I get in and pull this off?
So a lot of them, like if you're doing the compromise I mentioned earlier, where they'll hack someone's email and then start emailing vendors, they were able to take $200,000 out of one of their vendors because they wired that money to them to a bank account that was then closed. And
I actually had a client who lost $100,000 the same way. The email is the wrong bank.
Yep, and it's super super common that happens. Another way, which is really common, is they'll go in, hack your email, start taking all your contacts, and we'll go, hey, look, we know exactly how your business operates. We know where your files are stored. We're going to get those files, take those files, and they'll have all your maybe social securities from your staff. They'll have your business files and say, we'll put this on the dark web so all of your clients' information is public, which hurts your business because now when you're operating, you have to disclose a data breach.
So give me some don't tell me names, obviously, but tell me something that's actually happened to. I mean, where they like did the blackmail thing. You hear stories, but I want to hear some, Mr. X kind of thing that really happened to a contractor.
Yeah, so I can mention the phishing that just happened with the $200,000. So we had a client. They're a large home builder. They had one of their staff's email got compromised. They didn't have an IT team at the time that was monitoring it. They just kind of had everyone operating as usual. They just waited in their email account for about 2-3 weeks, collecting data. They found a few emails that had routing information. They went ahead and made some rules inside the user's email so that she wouldn't see the emails that they were sending out. but they just replied to all those emails with the routing information, said, oh, I'm so sorry, I mistyped that routing information. Here's the updated routing information. Sent it to them. The vendor said, oh, no worries. Again, that user didn't see that reply because they had manipulated it so they wouldn't see that. And said, okay, I'll send that over, sent over the mail. They were made aware 2 weeks ago when their accounts receivable said, hey, why haven't we gotten any money here? And reached out to the vendors, and they all said, oh, no, we paid you. The client said, hey, we paid you. Vendor said, hey, yep, everything's good. But they had never received the money, and it's because everything had gone to this one bank account that was compromised, and they took the money.
Now it gets so complicated. The vendor said they paid it. I paid you
Yep.
the 200,000. The client says I never got the 200,000.
Yep.
Who ends up getting in trouble?
So that's currently what the client is going through, and what we were brought in for is they're currently in the middle of a lawsuit because the client is saying, hey, the vendor saying, hey, we paid you. I know we paid a different bank account, but we paid you. So this should be wiped clean. It's $200,000, so it's a lot of money. So currently they're having to go through litigation, which is all the expenses that come with lawyers that we all love. We all love lawyers. So that is just turning into a much, much, much bigger ordeal. And they potentially are going to have to disclose that it was a data breach as well. If they have to disclose it's a data breach, they have to call every single one of their clients and say, hey, look, your data was exposed. Which, if you got a call from any of your clients that said, hey, your data is going to be exposed, I don't think you go,
not a good day for me,
great.
I'll tell you, right?
Exactly. So even if it's just a little bit of personal information, it's still nerve-wracking to get a call like that. And it can
So
really
what you're
hurt your
saying is
business.
now this real example, they've lost 200 grand. The vendor says, I already paid it. The client says, I never.
Yeah.
I got a client actually in the same position where their actually client paid them the bill, but somebody scammed the money to someplace else. So now the question is, whose fault is it, right? Is it the vendor's fault for sending it to the wrong place, or is it the client's fault for not having the right, IT to make sure it doesn't get to send to the wrong place, right? So whose fault is it? My fault? Say I'm the contractor. Is it my fault because I don't have an IT guy like you and didn't, quote, do the proper thing, so I can't get hacked? Or is it my vendor's fault for not having the right IT guy, so they're sending it to the wrong person? Like they can't, sort of like I cashed a forged check. Well, you should know it was a forged check. It's not my fault, right? So it's sort of like that, right? So now, whose fault is it, and who's going to pay, and who gets sued?
And that's up to the lawyers to kind of draw that fault. But it really is, it's both parties. I mean, really that account should never have been compromised. They should have had better security, and that account shouldn't have been compromised. When that account was compromised, and when the other party was like, hey, the bank information was changed, they should have had an IT team there that was really educating their staff of, hey, this is how you spot a phishing email or a compromised email account, and then reacting accordingly to it.
So the sad news is you're saying, I'm going to court. My attorney says it's your fault because you sent it to a bank account that you didn't check twice. Therefore, your IT was wrong. So you need to sell us the money. And then the vendor's attorney is going to say, oh no, you got hacked. You sent us the right stuff. We were still doing our appropriate due diligence, and we sent you the money. So literally, the judge is going to have to make a call. You owe the 200,000 or you don't, because it's not clear.
Yep, correct. Yes, and it is. And there's many cases that have gone both ways. One saying, hey, this is an established company, you should have had an IT person, and then they have to pay. Other ones saying, hey, you should have not just sent money to a random address after receiving an email that then thinking was legitimate. And it's hard to say, and this is not the only type of attack we see. We see a lot now, especially with people using these cloud storage providers. And what that is that's Dropbox, that's Google Drive, that's Microsoft 365 OneDrive or SharePoint. All these tools are fantastic because you can access your files on your phone or anywhere or share it out with anyone. Is these tools are getting hijacked because staff will have administrative privileges, and the hackers will take control of their account, and they'll say, oh, you're using the same password for 50 different services. Okay, great. So we'll compromise this one password and then sign in everywhere. They're just automated, and they'll just try to sign into all these different platforms. once they get access to all your business data, they're not going to delete that data. But what they'll do is they'll encrypt it, and that's called ransomware. And what they'll do is they'll go back to you and they'll say, hey, we encrypted all your data based on your business size and the data that's here. We're going to charge you $200,000 to get that data back.
How do I know they're going to keep it back?
And that's the hard thing of how do you know they're going to keep it back?
It's like they ransom my kid. They go, give me $200,000 and I give your kid back. And now I give them the $200,000 and say, we change our mind, we know the $200,000, you don't get your kid back.
Exactly. And it's the hard thing. It goes back to like, you're really negotiating with terrorists. It's not something that you can just say, oh, they're a good Samaritan. They're going to do what they say after doing it. They took your data. They're criminals. They're not trying to do the right thing.
So now this is a scary thought for me. Let's say that criminals are using AI. I think that's a fair thing, right?
They are.
So criminals are using AI. That means criminals are going to get better at all this stuff, right?
Yes. There's already a AI tool for hackers on the internet. I believe it's a few $1,000s a month, so very, very cheap. That is ChatGPT that's been modified and the model has been taken out to only provide malicious tips. So how do I hack this website? Oh, I've scanned the website. Here are the vulnerabilities. I've executed these vulnerabilities and we're able to compromise this. That is already a thing that is publicly available that hackers are currently using. So they are going to get better and better. Those phishing emails we talked about are going to get more refined. It's called spear phishing, more refined for your business, where they're going to know, hey, Paul, you, I don't know, go to the gym on Thursdays, go for a run. So they start sending you really tailored emails that you're like, oh, this is what I'm doing. Because they're able to build these profiles.
It sounds like a really bad dating service. No offense. It's like,
yes.
You don't know whether this is the real picture of the girl or not the real picture of the girl, right? So you show up at the restaurant, or she asks us for your social security number because your mother needs.
Exactly. Right? Exactly.
And so I'm scared. I mean, like, oh crap. So AI is getting better, right? And I wasn't good at technology to begin with. And now I'm going to get threatened even more. So, I mean, do I need a higher bodyguard like you when I walk down the streets or somebody's going to rob me?
We are someone that I think is helpful, but I think the biggest thing that helps everyone, any age, any level of IT knowledge, is continual training or learning.
Okay.
We're not saying...
I have my IT guy who sends me training every week. I've never done one ever, right?
Okay.
So how are we going to fix, because guys, I mean, I'm telling you, contractors especially hate training, right?
Yep.
So here we have a situation where, you know, the bad guys are getting better because they're using AI. I'm a technological Luddite, and I have literally hundreds of thousands of dollars at risk because they can come to me and hack stuff I don't even understand, right?
Yeah.
This is scary to me. So what do I do to protect myself? Because I'm going to get more and more leverage because these guys get better at hacking stuff. I suck at all this stuff anyway. So how am I going to make sure that I don't get robbed when all this stuff gets highly technical? I don't know how it works. I've ignored all the emails from my IT guy telling me to get training. And I'm just like, crap, what do I do now?
I think the biggest thing is you have to make it almost like, I'm sure when you hire new staff, you have them sign your employee handbook, you have them read that, you have them go through some of that basics. You really have to make technology training a staple of just your...
They don't read the handbook anyway. They don't even know their vacation time or the sexual harassment policy. How in the heck are they going to do anything with this IT stuff that they do not, especially somebody who's like a contractor guy, I mean, who's got a superintendent in the field that doesn't want to use computers anyway.
So what we do is we make them very bite-sized, and we do that intentionally for the contractors. Well, we make the videos 5 minutes, and we tell the executive team, look, you're going to have to force it. Obviously, everyone's going to grumble. That's just how it's going to be. But it's 5 minutes, and if you do it once a month, it decreases your risk by 70% for cyber attack. And that's a massive reduction of risk. Just to spend 5 minutes every staff member a month.
So what you're telling me, it's better to teach all my employees karate to defend themselves versus hiring them all a bodyguard, right?
Correct. Because ultimately, the second the bodyguards are not there is the second the hackers are going to strike. And that's what they've been doing. You can put the most cutting edge spam filter in place, antivirus on your system. We have a 24/7 security team that monitors all of our client systems. But even then, we train our staff and our clients because hackers are getting so good. And with AI and cutting edge,
You know
they
what?
can make
I was
everything look
not
good.
afraid of AI until now. Because
well, that wasn't
now,
my
I mean, I
intention,
wasn't
but
afraid
yeah.
of Skynet. I don't think they're going to like end the planet. But now that I know some guy in Afghanistan or somewhere is using AI to try to get in my checking account, I'm scared, right?
Yep.
Because he's going to get better all the time. And
Yep.
especially
Yep.
with quantum computing, passwords are going to go
Mhm.
by the way, because they can do like a billion tries in a nanosecond until they get one that works, right? So
Yep. And even
how do
AIs
I
now.
protect myself about with the oncoming of AI and hackers and technology, knowing that everything that I'm doing is on the damn internet? I don't have any cash in my pocket anymore. All my money is here. And yet I could wake up one
Right.
morning and find out all my checking accounts are drained and not even know why.
Yep. Yeah, just go back to a cave, move into a cave, and get off the
This
internet.
is not good.
That's a solution right there.
I'm saying, well, I think the time to talk this podcast, AI is going to steal your bank account or something like that, right? So,
Yeah.
okay, well, hopefully, maybe working with people like you can make a difference. I mean, it's certainly going to help, right? So I would encourage
Yeah.
listeners to, don't stick your head in the sand. You're going to get chopped off because,
Yes.
AI is coming. The bad guys are learning AI. It's not going to like blow up the planet, but it may steal your money from your checking account, which is probably more real. And so
Yes.
you're going to have to hate it or not hate it, you're going to have to learn what a phishing email is. You're going to have to hire somebody like Nick to stop you from getting hacked. And it's going to get worse. It ain't going to get better. Is that true?
There's a lot of things that you can do with to secure your business and secure your personal data with two-factor, like getting a text message on your phone, which I'm sure a lot of
I
people
hate
do.
those.
Banks
Now
are
I
really
love them.
requiring
I used to
that.
hate those. Now I'm turning
Yes.
them. Oh, let's make this.
Yes.
I don't want to do this 4 times. Now I'm feeling good about doing it 4 times.
Yeah, now you know you're safe. But the biggest thing is, look, security it's a cat and mouse game. The hackers are going to keep getting better, and the security teams that are trying to fight against them are going to keep trying to catch up. That's all it's going to ever be. And so you really need to make sure you're doing everything you can
But it's
to
scary.
protect your
AI is now
business.
taking this to a whole new exponential level.
They are, and it's
This is not
growing
like
so
this is
fast.
doubling every month, not every 10 months, right? Or year.
Yeah,
But Moore's law becomes exponential, which is crazy.
and the biggest thing is people who don't necessarily know how to hack. They're like, oh, I just want to make some money doing criminal activity and don't really know the intricacies of hacking, or
There's
just using
probably a
AI
school for
as their
computer. I
crutch.
know there's some school for computer hackers. There has to be, right?
Oh, there are many of them. There are
I
many
see.
of
I
them.
just go to, some country that you never heard of, and I'm going to go to school on how to learn to hack and make my first million. Now, this is scary.
Yep.
Okay, so Nick, I got to go now, but just curious, if they want to get a hold of you as a bodyguard or at least a trainer of karate, people from getting totally beat up or stolen their assets from them, how do they get in touch with you?
So you can go reach out to me and my team at Soaring Towers, SOARINGTOWERS.com, or you can reach out to me directly. My personal line is actually 323-895-6164. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Now, Nick, how do I know that you're not AI and this is all a big scam to get somebody's phone number?
See, that you don't know. That could be an AI generated talking.
You might not be a real person, like you might be, and you're just trying to get people's phone number because to get their confidence. This is scary, man. I don't know who to trust. It's really weird.
I know.
Okay, thanks.
But hopefully we can provide some answers.
Okay, thanks a lot. Have a good night. Good night.